Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's Rodfather 916. If you're a reality TV fan like me, you know about SWV Escape, RB Divas, or RB Queens on Bravo. You also know that this reality show right now is on fire. Not fire, fire. There are no fewer than 100, videos. This may be 151, but by the time I finish, it'll be probably 200. This is a six episode um, reality show on Bravo on Sunday nights, and it is the talk of the town, especially in the last, I'd say, 48 hours. I'm gonna give you a brief synopsis of the show, and then we're gonna move on to, while a lot of people, including me, can relate to some of the issues on the show. SWV is, if you're not familiar, has been around since the 90s. Um, Escape, which also featured Candy Birds and Ti, I'm sorry, and Tiny, have been around a few fewer years. I just had a stroke, pardon me. Um, but they're two sisters in Escape, and this is where the drama starts. Uh, Latasha Scott and Tamika Scott. And I think what Bravo was looking at initially, I think the concept is they're looking, you have seven women, you want to put them on, the premise is they're going to have a concert or possibly be on tour, and with seven women, you're going to have a version of the Housewives. However, this is not what they've gotten. Uh, SUV, the women in SWV are probably in their 50s, and Escape, they're in their mid to late 40s. The problem or the drama began in with Escape, the two sisters, at the beginning of episode 1, which suddenly make it must see TV. Tamika felt has always believed, and from the time she's from a little girl, that her mother preferred her sister over her, and she felt she didn't get the love and attention that Latasha got. And through the years, this relationship has hurt her because she feels she's being damaged or being overlooked by her mom because she probably favors her daddy in attitude, and they're divorced. So Mother Gloria is probably carrying a lot of resentment, and Tamika reminds her of the hurt and pain that she has. She is still not over it, even though they've been divorced more than probably close to 20 years now. And she took her daughter with her. I think she took her daughter with her as backup because what we soon saw was two against one, and a lot of gaslighting. It's like, why do you think there's a problem? Why do you think there's not a problem? And at one point, the mom Gloria did something a little despicable, which she has seen now. Her friends have seen, the people at her church have seen, where at one point Tamika was hurt, saying, you guys double team me. And when Tamika was looking away, her mother Gloria whispered, "She's jealous." I wasn't a good parenting mood. Not that any of us are perfect parents, but that was pretty bad. as parenting go, and millions of people have seen it, played it over. Um, it was sad. And so they kept piling on Tamika, and Tamika revealed a family secret that I don't believe she intended to on TV, at least. And this is what everybody's talking about. Many years ago, when computers were still in its infancy, we still did a lot of things by hand. You wrote your Social Security out. Now, when you type in the computer, it doesn't show it. It doesn't. Most good systems don't show your Social Security number. You type it in the numbers, and then the numbers disappear. Her license number, she left it out because she was on tour and she left it with her mother. If I have this right, people will correct me if I'm wrong. And Tiny's mother discovered that the girls would be entitled to royalty because this escape broke up a couple of times, as groups do. You're with somebody intensely and you fall out and you're angry and I don't want to do this anymore. And so she called, this is Tiny's mother. She called the girls and said, listen, I think you guys are entitled to royalty. And so she told them about it. Everybody fill out the forms. And you guys should have gotten a check already. So Tamika says, well, I didn't get mine. So Tiny's mother, who has no skin in the game, nice lady, just want to make sure that everybody's got paid because at this point, I think Escape is disbanded. They've broken up. And, Candy got her check, Tiny got her check, but Tamika didn't get her check. Tamika was living in New York at the time, and her mother and sister lived in Atlanta. And so her mother, Tiny's mother, did some investigation, found out a check was made out to Tamika and cashed. But it wasn't cashed by Tamika. In fact, the paperwork for the check wasn't done by Tamika, it was done by Latasha. And Latasha filled it out, and she signed Tamika's name. Meanwhile, her husband got the check, $30,000, put it in his account, and cashed it, forged her name. Now, if Tamika was a not loving person, she would have called, because I would have. $30,000 don't come easy. I'd have called the police and somebody had gone to jail. But she wanted the love of her mother, so she didn't, turn in her sister or her brother-in-law. There are many people thought that mom was in it as well. And so at one point she snaps and she brings it up. And they were like, what money? What are you talking about? And she says, I could put you in jail. I could put you in jail. And Gloria at this point realized their cameras. And she told them to turn it out and get out of her house. So they obliged. Bravo obliged. They turned off the camera, but they left the sound on. My good eye. Left the sound on. And they caught it. And Tamika was hurt. But Tamika left it. She was hurt. Because they were ganging up on her. And over time, in the last week or so, everybody's been going on the radio. They're going to blogs. They're going on different blogs, different podcasts. Tamika and Rocky. Rocky's got other issues of infidelity. And a baby's mom over here. I mean, like it piles. So if you want to be famous, understand there's a whole lot that comes with being famous. Uh, so he's responding to baby mamas. Tamika, Latasha is saying, my sister's out of her mind. We've never done that to her. And here's the insult to injury. She didn't get the $30,000, but she had to pay $12,000 in taxes. Yikes. Yeah, I'd have called the police. And her mom at one point Not saying that Latasha said it, but she said, well, she might have needed money. And Tamika's going, I got a daughter in college. Like we all need the money. But at the same time, she didn't take it. But if she did take it, it's because she needed it. So this kept building. Now, meanwhile, Latasha is just being a jerk on the show. She's not adding anything to it. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to make any contributions because she's got a solo act. Moving on. Let's follow the money. So in the last week or so, Latasha's not looking good, and Rocky's not looking good. She's just released an album through, I believe, Motown Gospel Unit, and church people won't look favorable on her attitude, and which many people believe that she stole money from her sister. So she's doing damage control, but every time she goes on, they don't have a professional. They're doing this on their own, so they're not being advised, and they're getting deeper in the muck. And are also basically calling Tamika a liar. And so Tamika's been on, Candy's been on, Tiny's been on, everybody's been on, and now they're going after everybody except Tiny. Candy's not the one to go after, but I'm not going to go into that. Anybody who knows Candy's not the one. But Tamika just got tired of it, and she produced receipts. Everybody talking about everybody. Can't hear a word they're saying. Only the echoes of their mind. Tasha had receipts. Copies of the check with a fake signature. The application for the money with a forged signature. Meanwhile, threats by Rocky of saying, listen, you keep talking about this, I'm going to release your sex tape that she left with her sister. Now, nobody knows why she was that stupid, but she did a sex tape in her 20s, and she left this sex tape with her mom, with her sister in a safe, and Rocky threatened to release it. So less than 48 hours ago, I think it was Wednesday. So 48 hours ago, she went on and she laid it all out there, including the threat. So right now, if Rocky releases any videos, any pictures, any naked pictures, she's got him. He's going to jail. So she told on herself, but she saved herself. And what we saw last Sunday was the ultimate save. The ultimate save being she told her mom and realized her mom is who she is. She's not going to change her mom. She's not going to change her sister. She loves her sister. But her sister did her dirty. $30,000. Money she needed. Or should I not 30, 42 when you include the taxes she had to pay on that. So I don't know if she saw a therapist or what, but she sort of reached a conclusion, and she told her mom, she goes, listen, I'm not feeling good about this, and if I have to let you go, not her exact words, but essentially that's what she said, if I have to let you go and love you from afar, I would. And mom caught it. She caught it. And that's where my story comes in. Because I had two sides of my family didn't like me. I was never in fights with anybody. I never gossiped on anybody because I see what that does to families. But I was a lot like my mom in the sense that I was outspoken and said what I needed to say. And there were certain people who didn't like that about my mom, and my mom didn't give two fucks about it. It's the only word I can come up with it. I sort of feel that way myself. I'm telling you the truth. And if you don't like it or you don't want to talk to me, that's on you. I was about 50, around Latasha and Tamika's age, when I started to realize that these people don't like me. And I did everything for these people to love me, because when we're kids, our first love are our parents. The second layer is our grandparents, if we're lucky to have them, then aunts and uncles. And if they're anything like my family, we got you. That's what they told me from the moment I could understand, 4 or 5 years old. We got you. Blood's got you. So that's where I wanted my love to come from the people who had me. But the reality is they didn't have me. When my kids were little, I bring my kids over and they didn't want to touch my kids. I mean, you bring a baby to my house, give me that baby unless it's throwing up or sick, or Linda Blair. Oh, I'm looking for a crucifix. No. That's a cute baby. Gotta go. But they wouldn't touch my family, and to be honest, I was hoping they would say, "We're proud of you. You've got a family. You've got kids. You got a wife. You're doing your man things." If I'm honest, that's what I wanted. I didn't want them to give me an Oscar or some statuette. But while my brothers were invited to reunions, I wasn't. Then the other side of the family, I fell out with an older person, old enough to be my father, and he didn't like it, and so he contaminated everything about me, created stories, damaged relationship I had with his children. And I could have gotten in the mud with him, but I've learned through my therapist and through people who are much wiser than I, they said, if the two of you get in the mud, both of you are dirty, equally dirty. So I didn't do it. I didn't get in the mud. And I don't know why it took me at 50, but I remember one of the members, she didn't know I was in the room. I had left, and then I came back in the room, but there was no place to sit down. So I'm standing in the doorway, and she didn't realize that there, and she told her best friend that I'm full of shit and always been shit. And that was a gift. That was a gift. As odd as it sounds, that was a gift, because at that real time it said, okay, I need to stop trying here. None of these people in this household has called me. Nobody knows where I live. I've been in my place in San Francisco for many, many years. Nobody knows where I live. They don't know my telephone number, which I've had for 20 plus years. I'm going to let it go. The other side of the family took a little bit longer because I had a relationship with the kids. But I'm only putting the effort. They only speak to me when I call. And a few years ago, I went to a funeral of one of the children, and I realized I wasn't wanted. They were curious after many years of not seeing me for 20 years, but I wasn't wanted. And I even went so far as, like, let's go out for dinner and do something. And my nephew and nieces are there going, stop it. Just stop. It's not happening. They have shown us they don't want us there. Even though we're family and we came not to make trouble, we came to support them this time. What I learned through therapy, I don't know if Tamika has a therapist, was that sometimes we need to take inventory. We talk about what we don't have, but we don't take in stock what we do have. I have kids, bio kids and adopted kids that I love equally, and they love me. And if I called any of them right at this moment and say, I need your help, they'd be here. I've always been in groups. I've been socially active. I've always been outgoing, and a lot of people like me. But for whatever reason, their love and like was not as valuable as my family's because we have bloodlines. And I'm here to tell you is it's who you're with, not bloodlines. There are family members, there are siblings who just don't like each other. Now, sometimes the kids get it wrong. I have kids that, in terms of chemistry, we have better. I have chemistry with some of my kids better than I have, but that doesn't mean I love the other one less. I just have more chemistry with this one over here. But I would give my eyeballs to my kids. I'd give them anything they need, including my adoptive kids. I would give them anything they need. I've been on this planet a while now. I'm okay. And I believe if I needed assistance, because they've all shown it, they would be here. Because it's not what people say in life, it's what they do, and they have been consistent. Even my even their husbands and wives. If I needed help, they were there. And I love them no differently. I love my daughter-in-law, my son-in-law. But sometimes the kids read it wrong, and this is where you need to talk to your parents. I hope my kids don't get it wrong. It would hurt my feelings if they did. Because I have nothing but love for my kids and respect and honor. So I say this to you to realize that in an ideal world, everybody should love everybody, but that's not ideal. I mean, this country is a mess. The world is in a mess since COVID. We're, being shut down and unable and having no control over it has thrown this world, I was in Europe and Dubai, has thrown this world into just craziness. But I have people who I call and we laugh. I have people who come by and we eat. And I have nephew, nieces who come by and sleep on my floor and sleep on my sofa. And sometimes, I have friends and family and we're four to a bed. And I'm a big guy, four to a bed. And friends who sleep on my dirty floor at times. You gonna vacuum this year? But they make me happy. I seem to make them happy. These are people that count. Take inventory. You may be at war with your brother, your sister. And what Tamika did is what I did. And that's why, of this video is that the path she is on, I was on. Just because of blood doesn't mean that they're healthy for me. I don't love them any less, but because they make me feel a certain way, and it's not, we're just not making it. So I love them, but I love them from afar. I'm only putting energy in people who return that energy. I'm not going to fight for someone who's got their foot on the brake. If that makes any sense. If they're not willing to put the effort, why should I? I'm a slow learner. I got it. And I discovered, like Tamika, I'm wonderfully blessed. Happy. I think about going into that dark place called some of my family and the negativity and feeling bad about myself when I leave because it's just a hopeless, dark place. So I make it a point to send a card instead of visit. This is the Rod Father. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you like what you hear, hit that bell button. I'm trying to grow this thing. A lot of it's my fault. I've got to send more videos on a regular basis. And right now there isn't any excuse. I also like your comments. There are videos I've done where people are still commenting a lot, like 10 a week, and it's almost 2 years old. But people benefit from those comments because what they discover, as we all discover, is we're not all alone in this. That's why it's so healthy to talk. And I appreciate it. I sit back and I read what people say to each other. There's certain people having petty squabbles. I'm not going to get into that unless it gets really nasty, because that's not what this is about. But people disagree and they get into squabbles, but there are other people going, well, this happened to me. This is my life right now. And it just warms this old man's heart. It just does. Because that means that someone is benefiting from this. So I'd like to hear from you. This is the Rodfather 916 in full color. Color. When I was a kid, that was a big thing because we had black and white. Color. Wishing you love, joy, and happiness. I really appreciate you watching. I'd like to hear what you have to say. If you disagree with me, tell me, because that's how I get better. So I'm out of here. This is a long video. I have done one this long, a long time. If you hung in with me. Meanwhile, wonderful and gorgeous people, the Rodfather is out.